Great work, Seg. Great work. Well, that was informative and inspirational, really. I'm starting to think I want to start a protocol, dude. But I got a couple more questions, and I think Seg is the guy to ask them. So we're going to bring him back on stage in just a moment. But I've got a little question to ask of you all. Could you come forward a little bit? All of you up front, do not be afraid. I don't spit. We got a bunch of beanbag chairs open up here. They look really cozy. Come on. I'm not gonna force anyone. But anyway, moving on. Next segment we have here for you all. Let me refine my place. Oh yeah, building a project, right? But there's a lot of things that go into making a successful project, as we've learned. One of the key ones being data precision. It's very important. So we're going to bring Seg back on stage, and we've got a couple other experts for him to talk to. We've got Yoshua Urioste, the head of BD for Silo Finance, and the leading lending market on Sonic, the head of ecosystem for Third Web, Gary Pollack, and Jakub Jaworski, who is the growth and community lead for RedStone. So guys, this is packed. Get ready, settle into your beanbags, get comfortable, and give our guests a round of applause. And I'm gonna leave the rest to Seg.
It's been a while. Nice to see you all again. So this panel will be called The Importance of Data Precision. Aptly, we have Silo Finance and RedStone with us. So Yoshua from Silo and Jakub from RedStone. Thanks for joining. And I'll start with asking you to introduce yourselves, if you can, and just talk about your protocols a little bit, and then we'll go into the questions afterwards. So we can start with Yoshua.
Sure. I'm the BD lead at Silo Finance, and we are a risk-isolated money market. So what that means is where more traditional lending markets use what's called a shared pool model, we pair everything into risk-isolated pools. So instead of having one large pool where assets can cross-borrow each other, we create individual pairs where the risk is isolated to the assets.
Nice. Awesome. And Jakub?
Yeah, so I'm Jakub. I'm from RedStone Oracles. I'm the growth and community leader. My background is marketing, but I hope I will provide you the quality conversation with Joshua. So RedStone is the fastest growing oracle on the market. We are securing almost $10 billion of assets that are lying. Also, Silo is our client, and happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Given the topic of the panel, I want to ask you, why does data precision and accuracy matter so much in Web3, especially in critical financial applications like lending and oracles? You can start.
Yeah, lending protocols, I would say it's the most relevant place where data precision is needed. One of the things that can go wrong, for example, with a lot of lending markets, and you've seen this probably countless of times with like the gazillion, compound forks that have been hacked over the last 3 years, is that sometimes maybe there's a flash crash in an asset that's listed that's not a good asset. If the oracle doesn't track the price correctly and it lags behind, the liquidations can cascade down. But if the oracle doesn't catch up with it, the price can go down at such a pace that you just aren't able to even put that flag up for liquidators to bring solvency back into the system. That's the, core element. And further, I would say that also you need data precision to, make the applications scalable for more of the derivative type assets. So a lot of what we do, or what we learned from, in the past, was that some Oracle providers weren't giving accurate data to the exact second as each other. So we saw like maybe there were some funny interactions when you plugged one data provider in with another and you tried to calculate the price of one asset using two connected assets. What you would end up with is essentially a mispricing of time rather than actual price, if you kind of catch my drift. But for example, if the SUSDC price is being quoted through, let's say, an SETH pool and an ETH USDC feed, an SUSDC feed and a ETH USDC feed plugged together. If you've got two different providers providing that data, sometimes they will be out of sync by a couple seconds, and that translation between one oracle hopping to the other, that can cause problems. And we saw it a lot, I think, on Arbitrum with particularly smaller token feeds, but we learned a lot from it.
Nice, amazing. I think one point I want to make there as well is something that came up. Like, I talk to developers a lot who are thinking of which chain to build on and where to launch their applications. And fast and cheap usually comes with, when it comes to the blockchain space, usually comes with downtime. Unfortunately, most of the fast and cheap chains have had major downtime in the past. And thankfully, we've had really, really, really solid uptime, pretty much no downtime since our inception in right after Ethereum. And I think the importance of reliability of the infrastructure for data precision and for critical financial applications is, for example, if you have positions that need to be liquidated and your chain is down because you opted for the fast and cheap chain that unfortunately crashed, you are going to be in for massive financial loss because you're not able to liquidate positions as required. The oracles are potentially malfunctioning. And so this is going to cause major issues down the road for builders that require reliable infrastructure for their financial applications that are really, like, they require mission critical sort of reliability. So this is something that I caution builders when they're choosing to build on other fast and cheap chains. If you look at our history, we really provide something that you can't find in other L1s, which is fast, cheap, and extremely reliable. So just wanted to make, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, like, the uptime also usually, like, when a chain goes down for whatever, even 5 minutes, that can cause a huge problem. But also the uptime going down, or a chain going down usually pairs with volatility going up, right? So actually those small moments where a chain might be down are also the most crucial moments typically, right? Because why is it going down? There's a million transactions coming through, and that's typically paired with some sort of market event, right, which is exactly when you need to liquidate.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, you want to take a shot at the question as well?
Yeah, like Joshua and you, like, perfect said what we need to mitigate as a society in terms of the Web3 and data precision. But I would add also that role of the oracles here is to not only provide the most reliable data, but also to prevent this kind of events. This is very important. Of course, there's some cases that some lending markets allowed to 0.5% deviation from the price, but we are talking about events when there is a mispricing around 10-30%. That's a thing we need to get rid of from our space. And as a Oracle provider, our job is to also prevent it. That's why we also work to the best monitoring system, robustness of our architecture, not only from the Oracle side, but also from the project side. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, interesting. So I guess my next question would be directed to Yoshua. How does Silo manage the risk of bad data inflows while managing collateral health and liquidations?
Yeah. So, I mean, Silo is a different beast in that with most lending markets, if one asset goes bust, it typically spreads all over the markets, right? So let's say there's some fork of Aave, and they decide to list a really bad low liquidity token, and that oracle is expired for whatever reason, then that risk transfers over to all of the other depositors in the pool. In Silo, you can choose not just what assets you interact with, but also what oracles you interact with, right? So when you go through and you see a market, you'll see right next to it, it'll say either RedStone, Chainlink, or Pyth. We tend to think that those are the kind of 3 premier oracles at this point, so we've limited ourselves to launching with them. But you as a user can choose to use who you prefer or who you believe that is the safest oracle provider. But beyond that, I think a lot of it has to do around like setting safe LTVs and being more aware about like the liquidity profiles of assets, and yeah.
Nice. So on Oracle safety, I want to ask Jacob a question. So what is I guess, in terms of the RedStone stack, if you have redundancies in place for potential data manipulation or exploits, what are the layers of security you have in terms of making sure that your feeds are accurate?
Yeah, I think there are three important steps into securing Oracle architecture. One is the data sources. There needs to be robustness of the data itself, so it means that have plenty of the data providers, not only publishers, not only taxes, but it means plenty of the bag of taxes, other publishers like infrastructure one, like Kaiko, and the methodology of this data, how we aggregate it at RedStone. What we do usually is that for the median methodology, we add also liquidity-based methodology that it's about how to measure liquidity. So we take market debt from the DEXs. In terms of the DEXs, we take order book dev, and this is the weight of each data source. This is regarding data sources and the aggregation. And the last part is architecture. Our architecture is robustness, which means that we have plenty of the fallback systems that is preventing any situation that, for example, our layer is switched off, or we have shadow layers then, or third-party layers. And I think this modular architecture allows us to be reliable in terms of the providing data to our customers.
Okay, wow, that's quite robust. Sounds really well guarded. I think in terms of the data manipulation piece specifically, your mitigations are you basically, like for example, if one centralized exchange has some data, you're basically saying that your methodology is one big part of it, where you take different metrics and you use those in aggregate to figure out what the actual midpoint or something like that is, right?
There are different methodologies like median or time-weighted average price, or the other methodologies like volume-based, but we prefer liquidity-based. Also, there is a detection of the outliers. If there is any statistically significant deviation from the median price, then we cut this source out.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think one point to make as well for those maybe not more non-technical people in the audience is like, when it comes to engineering applications and dApps, it's sort of like, if you think about the concept of an oracle, it's just to relay off-chain data on-chain, but to some extent. But it sounds super simple. It's like, just get the data and give me the price. Give me the price of this asset. But now we're peeling back the layers of the onion and seeing how complex it can be to actually get the price on-chain properly. And in a robust manner that's secure and actually does not go down. There's a lot of complexity involved in a lot of the simple things that come out at the other end. You had something to say?
Well, yeah. Well, I just wanted to say that the liquidity-first approach that RedStone takes is the correct approach. A lot of the actual issues that we've seen, because we have a lot of Oracle's approaches to kind of look at their infrastructure and kind of help us support a new asset or something. But a lot of the oracles make the same mistake, which is they will treat data sources equally, right? So you'll see that they'll have like 9 data sources, and maybe 3 of them will be really, really reliable, but they will have the same weighting as a lot of like maybe like a really low tier DEX or centralized exchange that is doing basically no volume, or sometimes they'll be doing volume that frankly doesn't look particularly real, right? And those are the things that poison the feeds, right? So when you take into account, okay, how much actual liquidity is in their order book, how deep does this price go, right? How easy is it for me to change it? That is I think correct way to do the weighting. So yeah.
Nice. And then I wanted to ask one more question to Jacob. How do you doing all of this processing and all this kind of thing in order to maintain data integrity, how do you maintain speed of delivery of feeds at the same time as affordability? So it feels like a bit of a complex problem to solve.
Yeah, this is a good question. So when we started RedStone, we thought about to design the most scalable way that Oracle can be. So we designed modular design that it's pretty nice to deploy on every EVM chain. We leverage, for example, call data in the smart contracts that allows us to be on every EVM chain without big cost. Also, I would say that signature-based of data, each of our node provider is doing a cryptographic signature, and we know that this data is from this source, from this node. This allows us to adjust everything to the almost perfection in terms of the speed of the providing of the data. And yeah, I think this too. So modular architecture is the most important for us to deploy everywhere and to keep data as fast as possible.
Nice, very interesting. Yeah, I think modular architectures apply in pretty much every domain of engineering in terms of just allowing for more efficiency and ease of sort of building apps that are fast.
I would add the fast adaptation. Like you have architecture built from segments, and you can easily change and adjust to the chain needs. For example, Sonic is different than other EVMs, but still we can leverage this modular stack to adjust everything. And the last thing is monitoring. Constant monitoring what's happening. Even the funny fact is that we have a 24/7 duty in person. Of course, everything is algorithmic, but we have people that are looking what's happening. Is there any outliers, any anomaly detection, and yeah.
So that kind of leads into the next piece that I wanted to talk about here. What role do you see AI, ZK proofs, or other new tech playing in improving on-chain data precision? So any of these new technologies that are emerging and potentially are useful for your individual protocols, how do you see them being useful for you guys? You start with Yoshua.
Yeah, for us, I don't think it plugs in so much into the Oracle part, but for us, I think ZK especially can bring a lot in terms of permissioning pools and kind of engaging with the more institutional audience. A big thing that a lot of institutions will talk about is you need to be able to know everyone who's interacting with the pool. Otherwise, you're not necessarily completely covered from OFAC sanctioning or whatnot. So a lot of what we can do is to bring identity on chain without just writing down your name basically on the blockchain is through ZKs. And we've been exploring with that and really building permission markets kind of behind the scenes that we should see coming out relatively soon, and that will be using ZKs essentially to bring on that data.
Nice. So you're thinking zero knowledge, ZK zero knowledge. So just for those who don't know, it means zero knowledge. Identity would be useful, right? Because it doesn't expose private data on a public ledger, but it still allows you to perform the.
So rather than me having to say hey, okay, give me your name. Or give me your country of origin, I can just ask, is this person from a country that is OFAC sanctioned? And then the ZK will just tell me a yes or no answer, right? And then that way, I don't have to kind of break this person's identity down and put it on the blockchain, and instead have clear-cut answers. And then you can just work with the ZK provider to kind of create a scenario where you could retrieve that personal data should that person act maliciously or whatnot, right? But yeah.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, zero-knowledge identity has been in the works, I think, in the blockchain space for a while, because identity, I think, is one important piece that has not really properly been solved. So for any builders out there who are looking for something to solve, I think there are some applications trying, but I think that could be a potential thing that could plug into other applications like Silo, and you can provide a service like a B2B service to other applications on our chain. So maybe something there. Jacob, do you want to talk about where you see AI, ZK, any of these technologies applying to RedStone?
Sure thing. Regarding ZK proof, I think more or less the same what Joshua mentioned, so verifiable data providing. We are actively monitoring what we can do with the ZK proofs. But regarding AI, we are already using it in terms of detecting outliers in our monitoring system. So yeah, also as a big data storage entity, we can also train LLM model on that and predict what should happen on the market and implement it in our infrastructure to detect any anomalies. Yeah, more or less this.
How does that work with the systems that you already have? Is it like AI, like large language models, or is it a different type of AI that you use for detection?
Large LLMs for now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that they could be used in that fashion. That's awesome. Really good to hear our applications are using cutting edge tech outside of the blockchain space to enhance their operation. That's cool. I think one thing that I wanted to ask both of you, if you had to build a mission critical app on Sonic today, what would be your biggest concern regarding data fidelity?
I think, I guess what I would build would probably be an Oracle, just because outside of lending, that is, I guess, my most interesting topic. And if you're trying to build a lending market, actually, everything that you need is on the chain, like with the code, except for the Oracle. So the Oracle is, I would say, the most critical element of it. But I think for a mission critical app, it's difficult to say. Let me hand off to my RedStone friend first.
I think if I was to chime in, I think it would probably be downtime, like I mentioned at the beginning, right?
Yes, downtime.
Like data fidelity can be pretty badly hampered by downtime if the oracles aren't relaying, etc.
Yeah, latency is very crucial for the markets to work.
Latency, downtime. So Sonic is very fast and very reliable. So
yeah. We also believe in the future of the very speed EVM chains, especially Sonic is one. Also, we are developing like special projects for that, like RedStone Bolt, that is doing updates in milliseconds. And I believe that future of Sonic is to become one of the chains that is a real-time chain that is doing very fast transactions, like in milliseconds in the future. I hope I will see it. But what can I say? Joshua is right about Oracle is also crucial in terms of reliance, robustness of the whole system, and to be a trustful partner, to have mispricing events. I think that those are crucial. And like we say, latency, like it should be as fast as possible for the market usage and for the convenience of the users.
Amazing. Right before we wrap up, we're out of time. I just want to ask, I've asked every builder this so far, what is your experience with fee monetization, and if you have any words to say about it, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, fee monetization has been good for us. I think the majority of our, I guess, fee accrual has actually been from the lending activity in itself.
Nice.
Our lending protocol is, or I guess lending protocols in general, are less about being transaction intensive and more about locking people in for a longer period of time. So in that sense, we're not like high frequency, but Sonic has been fantastic in terms of like the interest and the ability also of users to utilize lending markets to create financial opportunities that benefit them and in the end benefit silos. So we really appreciate it.
Amazing. And Jacob?
So we don't, as a Oracle provider, we don't have this contact with the end user, but I would say that integration with Sonic was pretty seamless, and all of the transactions that is going through our architecture are pretty smooth, and we like working with Sonic.
Amazing.
Very much.
Thank you guys for being here, Joshua and Jacob, and really good to hear from you.
Thank you, sir.
It was a pleasure.